Okay, we're going to set up a quick demo store to show the essential points of integration of Pinterest and Shopify, especially the collections and the images. What we're going to highly recommend is that you set up your own demo store for testing, especially when it comes to catalog product feed troubleshooting or theme or app testing. The idea here is that you don't mess up your regular store or live site and that you have a clean slate when it comes to troubleshooting. It doesn't take too many app installs and uninstalls before you don't even recognize your default code. We're going to use the start to free trial here, and it's asking us for an email address. We'll paste our email. That's the only thing we're starting off with here. And it's going to ask us for a store name. And then we're going to use musical instruments for kids. Create our store. And now it's got just a couple questions here. What are we selling? You can put what you want. I'm just going to say playing around right now. Your current revenue, just getting started. Industry is going to be toys. And are you setting for client? No. So I'll just say next. It's going to need some address information. We'll fill out here. And we're just using the 14-day trial. Anybody can replicate. But we do recommend that if you are going to go to a paid subscription on here, finalize your theme choice before installing the Pinterest app. We started with a free Gmail account, and it's using the free subdomain provided by Shopify. We're just going to go through everything step by step. And again, we highly recommend using the Gmail account because you're going to need it for YouTube, Google Docs, Google Sheets, Google Analytics, ads. And again, Shopify doesn't provide you with that email. We're going to use xylophones for a product because it's a favorite gift-giving idea from well-intentioned aunties that want to bring out the child's musical talent, to bad uncles that terrorize their grown siblings with a gift that just doesn't stop giving, and it never runs out of batteries. So it lends itself to what would be considered a perfect Pinterest product, and it's saved by many different people for varying reasons. Going back to our store here, the store is registered with a name called Musical Instruments for Kids. So that's a Shopify store. And we're going to use that same name will also become your Pinterest account profile name. And that's your first point of integration with Pinterest. It's a best practice that your store name and your Pinterest account name should match. It's less confusion for visitors. Before we're ready for products, the second point of integration with Pinterest is to use a naming convention for your collections. This is the exact same format on Pinterest where a board name is used as a group to collect the related pin images, and those same pin images can be posted to multiple boards, and a board can and should have a description also. Before we fill this out, let's get a look at an example of something that's well done. Pants. And you can see dress pants, yoga pants. You can see there are different collections here. You can see their dress pant, yoga pants collection page. Okay, and now you have your products on there. And they do exactly the same thing on Pinterest. If you take a look at their page here, you can see this is dress pant, yoga pants, and we can just pick any one and we can open it up and you can see it's saved here. Now, again, we're not logged in, so it's not going to show you all the same information as it did in the other video because we're in a logged in account. But this one, once we're logged in, you're going to see all the rich pin data. And this one's actually currently out of stock, but you can see same photo, same idea here. Scrolling back to the top, they're pinning all the images they're creating. Most of their creatives are on my site and pinned over here. They are using a collection. This is the collection here. And if we go back to their main account, you can see this is like being on your homepage. If we're calling this music instruments for kids and we're using drums, xylophone, cymbals, then we would want to start our collection name with something like xylophone musical instruments for kids. The next would be drum musical instruments for kids, cymbals. And that way they'll sort and get much easier to organize later on. What you don't want to do is have them all start with musical instruments for kids, xylophone, musical instruments for drum. The reason for that is Pinterest is famous for cropping your information. Okay, I'll give you an example here. You can see, depending on your dashboards and stuff, this isn't Pinterest, this is from Amazon, because you have to keep your brand name at the front. And in this case, so you have this xylophone for kids, it's cropped. And even when you expand it, you will find that you still don't know what you're doing here. Whereas if in this case, you have clown here and over here is wooden, you end up with clown-shaped xylophones, dog-shaped xylophones, much easier. Okay. So just a heads up is that, especially with Pinterest, you're going to see when you have repetitive data within your collection names or your product names, it's going to get cropped in all kinds of dashboards. It's going to be very difficult. Literally, if you want to do something, you almost have to always export to CSV to see your data. When all things are equal, you want to use kids xylophones, baby xylophones, children's xylophones, for example, versus xylophones for kids, for babies, because this is going to get cropped, as I showed you in an earlier image. But if it's a big difference, take a xylophone for children, for example. When you have a choice like this, you may want to consider xylophone for kids as a better option. I'm not going to get deep into the SEO, but the point is everything has pros and cons. And when in doubt, always err on the side of using keyword terms that are going to give your audience the best user experience. The naming convention is secondary to grouping things and helping you identify things with a unique modifier. So you have variations. In this case, we're going to make a store all about xylophones. So we're going to put the information in front, like kids, dog shaped toys, xylophones. We'll want that in front so that as we add more products, we will have them grouped in the collections. If you want to try to validate new product ideas, use something like the Obero app. Adding the app just takes a couple clicks. So this is the app right here, and we're going to go back into the Shopify store and just add that app. And we're ready to go. So we want to look for some products, and we're going to search for our toy xylophones. Look at our list. Here's where we talk about changing the title. We're not going to get too precise here. Just want to make sure we don't have something that's terrible, but they're all different, which is good. A couple points, especially on AliExpress, is that they've mastered that fine art of keyword stuffing titles. So sometimes they may have titles up to 200 characters long. Shopify will accept it, and so does Pinterest to a point, but then they start truncating stuff, especially on mobile. And most of your traffic is on mobile. So you want to make sure the beginning 40, 50 characters is unique. Secondly, some tools will break. Some of your automation will not work. And you don't know that until you get to the end. This is just demo data. Now, I think you can go up to 250 images in Shopify. What you don't want is junk images, because like this image here about shipping times and stuff like that, it has no value for customers pinning it to their board. We're just going to go down the list. We have some ladybug ones and different ones here. SEO experts agree that a consistent and proper categorization is better than a bunch of vague collections. And you avoid dates. You want to use evergreen content as much as possible. I'll give you a couple quick examples to wrap this up. You can see on these board names here, again, I just saved these from a quick Google search here from the top results. So first of all, here's where we're talking about product names again. I showed you the example from Amazon. You can see how stuff gets cropped. Even in Google, you have all these different pins, but they all show up with the same metadata, same titles. You're trying to avoid that. I see many Shopify sites set up like this. And then when you go to try to automate it on Pinterest or even product catalog, it's not going to work. One thing we do a lot of Amazon launches, this works great for Amazon stores directly, not just Shopify. Pinterest itself will put a number on some of your board names, this 100 plus, 300 plus. This will change. It's just one of their ways of modifying the metadata. So this doesn't apply directly in the case of what we're doing. But you can see how these product titles are all different here. They're a variety, and that's what you're looking for. When we get into some of these board names, you can see here, xylophone for kids. Everybody can use the same board names, but they will always have, you can see in here, they're going to have a different username. There's a username right there that's unique, and then they can share a same board name. It's the same thing over here. These are collection names. So again, you don't want all your collection names to look the same if they get cropped in here. I think that wraps it up for this. Basically, if your Pinterest account is congruent with your Shopify site, you're going to have a foundation here of using Pinterest for basically an automated traffic machine. Once we get these onto Pinterest, you'll see the traffic coming in here, be very targeted, and that's the goal of this video.